Buckle in, sports fans. You're listening to The William Haynes Show. The program will be starting in just a couple of minutes, so grab your popcorn and get ready to enjoy the show. While you're waiting, make sure you're following us on social media at WHBC Stream and staying tuned to WHBCStream.com. We're so glad to have you today on the program, and we'd love to hear from you. Drop us a line on Twitter or call the show 352-639-0036. And thanks again for tuning in.
HBC. Well, it is a good evening to you, and how you be at 10:29 with 38 seconds along to go with it here on this official MLB Opening Day. William Haynes here, you there. You are listening to the William Haynes Show on WHBC. Letting you know right out of the gate, you can call us with all your thoughts, all your Rays thoughts at 352-639-0036. As always, drop us a line on Twitter, WHBC Stream, and if you're listening to this on Spreaker.com, which you must be if you're listening to the program, you can leave us a message in the chat as well. Got a lot of baseball to talk about, a couple of games last night, a lot of games today, including the Rays' first game, some expanded playoff news, all that stuff. If I had to start anywhere, I guess we need to start with the Rays game, as this is, advertised as a Tampa Bay sports show. I am a diehard Rays fan myself, and I'm sure you are as well listening to this. The first game of the season was tonight. It started at 6:40. It just got over about 30 minutes or so ago. It was like a long 3.5-hour game. High-scoring game. The Rays lost to the the Buffalo Blue Jays by a score of 6-4. It was a pitching duel at first between two really good starters in Charlie Morton and Hyun-Jin Ryu. I believe Charlie Morton went 3 no-hit innings before the Blue Jays got to him. He took the loss in 4 innings pitched. Morton gave up 7 hits, 6 earned runs, walked a man, struck out 4, and gave up a 3-run homer to Cavan Biggio. Threw 80 pitches. And then on the other side of things, Hyun-Jin Ryu for the Blue Jays in a no decision went 4 2/3, gave up 4 hits, 3 runs, which were all earned, struck out 4, and gave up a home run himself. It was a 2-run homer, not to spoil things, but it was for Yoshi Tsutsugo. What am I saying with the spoiling? Of course, you've probably watched the game yourself. The Rays lineup, which it was a little different than we had expected. We had talked about who maybe would lead off. Yandy Diaz, a guy we had discussed, a right-handed bat going up against the lefty Hyun-Jin Ryu. He ended the day 0 for 4, walked once, struck out. I did think he was really patient at the plate. He did walk once, and I think could have walked a couple more times, but did not get a hit. His on-base percentage for the season will start at .200, so not completely abysmal. We'll get to the scores. We'll probably do some 2020 sports updates. The game I do have on my monitor, though, in Houston, they just tied things up with a Jose Altuve legging out a single. They're tied with the Mariners at 2. So I might move off that now that the game's tied. I was surprised that the Mariners were beating the Astros. Of course, the Astros hate tour is on, as you know they'll get hit by pitches and all that stuff. But to get back to the Rays game, Yandy Diaz was disappointing. The whole top of the lineup really was. I know I don't need to tell you, from Hunter Renfroe batting second, going 0 for 4 himself. He did score a run. He did walk. That, of course, that's where the run came from. Struck out twice, including looking with 2 outs and the bases loaded. A base hit would have tied up this ball game. Just not a great at bat from Renfroe. Also had an error in right. I thought maybe that they would put Brandon Lau right field, as he looked good. He had looked good there in the exhibition game, but Kevin Cash says no. He wants Renfroe in right. It was Margot in left who did okay as we continued to go down the lineup. And then it was batting third, Yoshi Tsutsugo, 1 for 4, 2 RBIs. That came on that 2-run homer that got the Rays on the board. They had added 2 more after that. And then batting cleanup, which was surprising, the contact hitter, Jose Martinez. He went 1 for 5, struck out twice. Not a good showing from him. Chased at a lot of pitches. Not what we were expecting from a guy that we thought was going to get a lot of hits. Of course, he went 3 for 3 in that televised inter-squad scrimmage. Manuel Margot batted 5th. He went 0 for 3, but scored 2 runs. Those came on the 2 walks that he worked. He played decent in the outfield. Could have made a play in left, but did not. It was a double off the wall, but he could have easily caught it. So maybe a strike against him. And then batting 6, a bit of a surprise, but I guess not really. The right-handed bat of Mike Brasso instead of a lefty Brandon Lau or a lefty Wendell. Brasso went 1 for 2 with a run batted in before being taken out for Brandon Lau. Lau pinch hit for him and then went right into second base. Lau went 0 for 2, walked 1, struck out twice. And then Willie Adames, the shortstop, he went 2 for 3, so not a bad day. Run batted in and worked a walk as well. So in 4 total plate appearances, he reached base 3 times. So that's good to see from the shortstop, who had a really good second half of the season last year. So having a guy like that who plays a really good shortstop and can get on base at the bottom of the order, certainly a valuable asset for these Rays. Kevin Kiermaier, a bit of an asset at the plate, 0 for 4, 2 strikeouts. Made some routine plays in center, and that was about it for him. And Mike Zunino, the catcher, going 0 for 2 and worked a walk, but that was it in 3 plate appearances. I believe it was the spot where it was the inning where Renfroe struck out with the bases loaded. Zunino was due up in that 9-hole, and Kevin Cash smartly pinch hit Choi, who worked a walk. That was his 1 at-bat. A guy who is kind of surprising in a regular opening day with all the hoopla and the fans and everything. I think he would have been on the field on opening day. But in different circumstances, Kevin Cash goes matchup heavy against the left-handed starter Hyun-Jin Ryu. Kevin Cash went with 7 righties and 2 lefties to the tune of 4 runs. So not too much you can complain about, but they left a lot of meat on the bone. Total left on base for the team was 11 men. That is absolutely inexcusable. And with runners in scoring position, the team was 1 for 9. Kiermaier 0 for 3 with runners in scoring position. Zunino 0 for 1. Renfroe 0 for 2. Yandy Diaz 0 for 1. Willie Adames was 1 for 1, so that's good to see. And Brandon Lau was 0 for 1. And then as we look over to the Blue Jays, we gave you Hyun-Jin Ryu's lineup, or his score card. Went 4 2/3, 3 earned runs. Threw about, well, let's see, we have the total number, 97 pitches, so he almost went 100. Out of 97 pitches, only 54 were strikes. That's surprising for a guy that did not walk anybody last year, as he was a National League Cy Young finalist, actually finished second in voting for the Dodgers last year. So he's going to be the Blue Jays ace and got a no decision tonight. And it was Charlie Morton, of course, taking the loss, giving up all 6 of those runs. Another thing that I wanted to mention, of course, about the Rays is the way the bullpen looked. So Morton giving you 80 pitches, 4 innings. Obviously not a great showing for him. The main thing, I don't know if it was a stamina issue. He wasn't fully prepared to make a start. I don't think that's the case. I mean, 3 weeks officially to get ready, but of course, he was probably working with the pitching before then. I think the Blue Jays, a young lineup with a lot of electric hitters, they started sitting on the curveball. They took pitches outside of the zone, which a lot of hitters usually don't. Of course, we saw him in the postseason, winning a wild card game and winning a postseason game against the Astros. I mean, he can get the best of the best out, but the Blue Jays were just not having it. They were clobbering the fastball. The inning, I want to say, where it all became undone, it must have been the fourth inning, which was Morton's last. The bases loaded with no outs. It started with a bunt single, and then it was a weak grounder they got through. I mean, you give a team extra outs like that, they're going to make you pay. I think the game would have gone a lot differently if those things had not happened. But Morton, of course, after that, couldn't get anybody out, including a 3-run homer to Gavon Biggio. But then out of the bullpen, Ryan Thompson, a guy who the highest level he had played was Double-A ball, made his major league debut as Malik Smith makes an error in the outfield on a Alex Bregman hit, and then another error. So now the Astros have taken a lead. But Ryan Thompson making his major league debut. In 2 innings pitched, only gave up 1 hit. He did walk a man. No strikeouts through 31 pitches, 18 for strikes. A sidearm, a sidewinding pitcher. Some of his pitches would sweep completely across the plate. I thought he had really nice stuff, low 90s on the fastball, but I think he's a guy that will be a valuable asset, an Adam Kolarek type. It's a little bit different with a 3-batter minimum, but going 2 innings the way he did, 31 pitches, he can go for length. I'm not sure if he's an opener type. It can give you 2 innings at the back end of a game or in the middle like he did today. And then after Thompson, so Morton and Thompson got them through 6. Jalen Beeks tacked on another 2 innings pitched, only gave up 1 hit and struck out 5. His stuff was really electric. 33 pitches, 24 of which were strikes. I thought he looked really good. He was a guy that made a couple starts last year as he continues to work up. A guy that the Rays acquired in 2018 for Nathan Eovaldi, a guy who looks like he's going to pick up a win as the Red Sox are like up 10 runs on the Orioles. But Beeks looked really good. He was fooling hitters. And then it was 1 inning of Alvarado who, while not giving up any runs, he walked a man, struck out 2, but his stuff was a little wild. Obviously, his biggest weakness is control, and his control was not very good tonight. Thankfully, did not give up any runs and gave the team a chance in the 9th inning, so they got an inning out of him at the bottom. So the bullpen, I would say, looks good. They didn't have to use anybody really besides Alvarado, so Nick Anderson, Diego Castillo, Oliver Drake, of course, no Colin Poche. So the bullpen, some good takeaways, some middle relievers that look good in Alvarado. Maybe a bit to be concerned about. Ken Giles, that's all I'll say about the Blue Jays bullpen. He picked up a save, was pretty nasty with his pitches. And as we go through the Blue Jays order, it was the 1-2-3 punch that the Blue Jays have. I mean, that's a deadly lineup the way that manager Charlie Montoyo set it up. As actually, we're going to head to a 2020 sports break. We have a lot to talk about. Give you guys a chance to come in with your phone calls at 352-639-0036 or tweet us at WHBC Stream or leave us a message on the Spreaker chat. Not sure how far the show is going to go tonight. Just kind of doing a little bit of post-game action, talking MLB Opening Day. So, no, you can contact us from all those places. And we are going to go to a break and give you the first real 2020 sports update in a couple months. Here it is. HBC. Plenty of MLB action today, including some games, plenty of games that have gone final. The Indians got a 2-0 win over the Royals. The Marlins picking up a 5-2 win over the Phillies. Cubs won 3-0 over the Brewers. Kyle Hendricks pitched a complete game. The Rays, of course, losing to the Blue Jays 6-4. Another one that's final. Reds 7-1 over the Tigers. The Mets 1-0 final over the Braves. And some games that are currently in action. In the bottom of the 8th, we have the Red Sox 13-2 on the Orioles. In the 8th, it is the Rangers 1-0 on the Colorado Rockies. In the top of the 7th, it is the Twins 7, White Sox 5. In the 8th inning, the Cardinals are up on the Pirates 3-2. In Houston, it is the Astros up now 6-2 on the Mariners as they are pulling away. Top 6th, Diamondbacks and Padres are tied 0-0. In LA, the Dodgers are up 2-1 on the Giants in the final game that has just gotten underway. In the top of the second, the Angels and Athletics in Oakland are tied at 0. Don't go anywhere. We're just going to take a really quick break, and we'll be back. Remember, you can call us at 352-639-0036. The Twitter is WHBC Stream.
Hey, sports fans. William's currently in the can, but he'll be right back. We're currently on a commercial break, so don't touch that dial. Remember, you can call us at 352-639-0036 or drop us a line on Twitter at WHBC Stream to tell us what's on your mind. We want to talk sports. We want to get unruly. We want you to tell us what you think so we can argue. Anyway, when all that's said and done, please stay tuned for Williams' world-famous Around the XFL podcast and other projects that he's currently got in the works. Please visit WHBCstream.com, and thanks again for listening in.
Sports Radio 101.9 FM. Sports Radio 636. Sports Radio
HBC. And we're back on the William Haynes Show at about 10:44 p.m. talking some Rays baseball. You can call the show at 352-639-0036. The Twitter, WHBC Stream, and the Spreaker chat is open. We did get the first line of the show coming from at SWW4TB on Twitter. He says, solution to not leaving 11 men on base, improve team chemistry, or hit the cages. Tough thing to say. I think the circumstances are a little bit different, considering that this is a July 24th opening day. Of course, the Rays, they did plenty of inter-squad games. One thing I will bring up because it's relevant right now, the Rays did not schedule any exhibition games with other teams, and I think what we've seen tonight, some of that may be as a result of not playing in an official game. We saw on TV, the exhibition game they played, it wasn't like completely official like it would be if you're playing another uniform. Situations like that with men on base and kind of dealing with that, combined with, being the first game of the year and dealing with some guys in a new lineup, could contribute to that. I mean, a guy like Hunter Renfroe, who hit 33 home runs last year, albeit he was a .220 hitter, struck out a bunch. The performance he put out on the field is obviously not what the Rays expected when they dealt Tommy Pham out to San Diego in exchange for him. But, I mean, I would say give it a couple more games. At the end of the series, if the Rays are still abysmal in people left on base, I would say just completely shake up the lineup top to bottom. I think the lineup is going to be a lot different tomorrow. I think they were stacking the righties against the lefty Hyun-Jin Ryu. It will be the right-hander Matt Shoemaker tomorrow against Ryan Yarbrough. So I think you'll see a little bit different lineup. I think they'll either mess with Brandon Lau or Ji-Man Choi in the leadoff spot, which will help with on-base percentage. Of course, Yandy Diaz 0 for 4 in the one walk. I think what you do with the top of the lineup can impact that a lot. So I'd expect them to shake the lineup up pretty good. I'm not sure where they would slot Hunter Renfroe, but I would not have him in the 2 spot tomorrow. Yoshi Tsutsugo, I think he's good at that 3 spot, or maybe you want to slide him down to clean up, and then maybe bump up Jose Martinez, although he did not look great tonight. Another thing that could give you some more options, I don't think you're going to pull Hunter Renfroe. I think it's too early for that. I think even bringing that up, it's a little bit overreaction from the poor performance from him. But an error in the outfield, I don't think he was slated to play right field this year. That was Austin Meadows. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it. He's just not used to being in right. But I will bring up that Brandon Lau in summer camp did look good in right field. If I had to suggest anything, I would put Brandon Lau in right tomorrow. If you want to go Hunter Renfroe in left, that would make sense. Or if you want to go Manuel Margot in left and put Renfroe at DH, you could do that. But I would put Brandon Lau in right, and I would probably put, if you want Mike Brasso at second base, fine, but I would volunteer the lefty Joey Wendell, especially against the right-handed starter Matt Shoemaker. And I think tonight showed you how committed Kevin Cash is to getting those lefty-righty advantages, so I would go that route. I think the top of the lineup, really just to answer the question, I think that is what hurt them the most with men on base. I think the middle of the order actually hit the best. Guys like Manuel Margot, who hit in the 5 spot, he went 0 for 3, but did work 2 walks, so he can get on base. He did pick up a couple stolen bases late, but that was just because of the defensive shift. But he was a guy that he looked good on the base paths. So that's a guy, if he can get on base and he can steal a base, whatever, I like that a lot. Mike Brasso picked up a hit, actually knocked in a run, and then Willie Adames obviously going 2 for 3 with the walk. That middle of the order, I think, could help a lot in that regard. So I think really to answer your question, finally, solution to not leaving men on base, I would say for Kevin Cash, it would be to shake up the lineup and get the hitters who have proven themselves tonight maybe some more at-bats and in more timely situations instead of kind of burying them lower in the lineup. And then however they decide to deal with Hunter Renfroe, whether giving him an off day, which I wouldn't really recommend, but I would definitely get him out of right field. I would put Brandon Lau at right if he's not already slotted in at second base, because you have got Joey Wendell who could play there as well. And that's about all really that there is to say about this game. Bottom line, really the story, obviously the newspaper doesn't print every day, but if you were to put a headline, it would be the 11 men left on base, or even you could go with the poor performance for Morton. Kevin Cash leaving in Morton for that 5th inning. He didn't record an out, but he gave up that home run to Gavon Biggio. Or was that the 4th inning? Kevin Cash left him in too long. Charlie Morton should have never faced the top of this order a 3rd time through. We know that's kind of Kevin Cash's motto, is to not do that with pitchers, and yet that's what he did tonight. A guy in Morton who I think wasn't quite ready to go as long as he did. And the Blue Jays were seeing him well, and you still let him face Bichette and Biggio making you pay. I believe that was in that 4th inning that Morton did finish, and letting Biggio take you deep for 3 runs. That was the difference. If you had taken that out of the equation, we'd be talking about a Rays victory tonight instead of a loss. So the men left on base combined with that decision by Kevin Cash was the difference. But if you want to talk bright spots, I would say the middle of the order looked really good. Guys like Manny Margot, Adames, and definitely Yoshi Tsutsugo, of course, with that 2-run shot. And then the bullpen, a good sign out of a couple middle relievers in Ryan Thompson and Jalen Beeks. Going to keep reminding you, you can call the show at 352-639-0036 or drop us a line at WHBC Stream. We'll be taking your calls and all that probably for another about an hour or so. There's a lot of baseball to talk about. I got to get this Astros game off my monitor. It's 6-2. It's a blowout. I guess I jinxed the Mariners. Who would have thought that they could have made that game interesting? But that looks like the Astros have got that one locked up. As we continue, I was not on the air last night. There was a couple games that were final. It was the Yankees and Nationals, the first game of the season. Yankees pick up a 4-1 win in 5 innings. Rain delay, and they decided to call it. That's what they're going to do this year. They don't want people in close proximity for long periods of time, which makes sense. They did finish the top of the 6th, so 5.5 innings were played. Both pitchers went complete game, quote unquote. Max Scherzer picking up the loss, gave up 4 earned runs, including a monster 2-run homer by Giancarlo Stanton. I think that's the big takeaway from the Yankees is having Judge and Stanton have the really good games that they did. Judge went 2 for 3, Stanton 2 for 3 as well. And then Garrett Cole, of course, getting a win in his first start as a New York Yankee. going 5 innings pitched, only gave up 1 hit. That was a solo shot to Adam Eaton. He walked 1, struck out 5, 75 pitches, 46 were for strikes. And then the other game of the night, which was not quite as exciting, it was the Dodgers 8, San Francisco Giants 1. Now this game was tied at 1 late. I believe it was the 6th inning when it all unraveled. Basically, bottom line, I'll keep it short. Giants bullpen could not get the job done. It was the sidewinder Rogers who took the loss, and a couple of errors. And the Giants defense was not a good start for Gabe Kapler's San Francisco club, so they take a pretty bad loss, 8-1, and they are actually playing tonight as well. And now, of course, as we move over to games tonight, we'll start with games that went final. The Indians 2-0 over the Royals. It was Shane Bieber getting the win. He struck out 9 of the first 11 batters faced, so he came out with his hair absolutely on fire. As I'm pulling up his final line, he went 6 innings pitched, 4 hits, no earned runs, 97 pitches. So it looks like some teams did let their starters go 100 pitches. Morton, a guy that mentioned that he did not feel prepared to do that, and we saw why to the tune of 6 earned runs. And then Brad Hand picking up the save. The Royals getting shut out in their first game, probably not a good sign for them. The starter Duffy taking the loss at 4 1/3 innings pitched, only threw 65 pitches. So the Indians, as a team that I'd mentioned as a potential dark horse, they start off in the win column, of course, as well with the expanded playoffs, which we'll talk about a little bit later in the show. That drastically changes things with the top 2 teams in each division making the playoffs, and then another 2 wild card teams. I think the Indians now would certainly be not a lock, but close to it to make the postseason. They got off to a good start here tonight. Another game that went final in surprising fashion as well. The Marlins 5-2 over the Phillies. It was Alcantara getting the win for the Marlins. Aaron Nola, the Phillies ace, taking the loss. As we look for the line, not a good managerial debut, certainly for Joe Girardi, as I think he'll be in Yankee Stadium. So Aaron Nola went 5 1/3 innings pitched, gave up 4 earned runs, walked a man, and struck out 7, including a home run. And then Alcantara went 6 2/3, giving up an earned run, 87 pitches. Former Ray Brad Boxberger recording it out for the Fish. So surprising win, a team that we had talked about that were vastly improved, but maybe, they're more than a step away in Derek Jeter's rebuild. But looking down the lineup card, not a lot that stands out. Corey Dickerson going 2 for 4. The guy, Jonathan VR, their main addition in the leadoff spot, went 0 for 4. And then looking at the Phillies, a lineup that I liked a lot. Of course, guys like Andrew McCutchen, Rhys Hoskins, Bryce Harper, JT Realmuto. They had Didi Gregorius, who I want to say had a home run tonight. Yes, he did in the 5th inning. Gene Segura, Jay Bruce. Top to bottom, it's a good lineup. Only scored 2 runs, though. Only good hitting performance would be Didi Gregorius, 2 for 3 with that home run. As we continue to go down here, unbelievable how bad the Red Sox are killing the Orioles. That game is not final yet, but something, that's definitely, we knew the Orioles were going to be bad, but this bad. It's in the bottom of the 9th. So that game must be final then in Fenway. So I guess we can talk about that. Not really much to talk about, but I'll pop up the box score real quick. The Orioles also, it was talked Camden Yards would be the host of the Blue Jays, but they did decide, long story short, that they're going to play in their minor league facility in Buffalo amid concerns over lighting and the clubhouses not being up to snuff for major league players. But the Blue Jays will play their home games in Buffalo, which I guess is a little bit better than playing every game on the road. For the Orioles, their starter, Milone, went 3 innings. He took the loss, and Evaldi, Mr. 6 ERA last season, he got the win. 6 innings pitched, gave up an earned run, 89 pitches. So a good start for the Red Sox quote-unquote ace. As we look down the lineup, J.D. Martinez went 3 for 5. Not really a whole lot that stands out. Kevin Pillar going 3 for 5. The catcher Vasquez 2 for 3. But that's Jackie Bradley Jr. went 3 for 4. So some guys, I mean, listen, the Orioles are a horrible team. I'm looking at the relievers that pitched. I mean, not a lot that stands out. But it did go final. Red Sox 13, the Orioles 2. So the Red Sox are tied for first place in the American League East. As horrible as I know that must sound, as we're about 3 minutes away from another 2020 sports update. Trying to look for other games that went final. All the West Coast games are about midway through. This is one that I want to talk about, mainly because I was able to watch most of it. It was the only game on for its entirety. It started at 4 this afternoon. It was the Mets 1, Braves nothing. Jacob deGrom, 5 innings pitched, only gave up a hit, 72 pitches, so they wanted to make sure that he was okay. But then Seth Lugo out of the pen, 2 innings pitched, he picked up the win. Justin Wilson gave up 1 hit in an inning, no runs. And then Edwin Diaz picking up the save. Edwin Diaz is a guy who had 50-plus saves for the Mariners a couple seasons ago, and then he goes over to the Mets in a blockbuster trade. The Mets gave up their top prospect and took on Robinson Cano's contract for this guy, Edwin Diaz. So to see him, I mean, I'm kind of surprised that Luis Rojas gave him the closer spot out of the gate, but he came through with his save and 1 inning pitched, walked a man, but struck out 2. Of course, no runs. The only run in the game was a solo home run for Yoenis Cespedes. Off the bat, it was a no-doubter, absolutely crushed off of the reliever Chris Martin. Shane Green had an appearance as well, but it was Mike Soroka. No decision, 6 innings pitched, only 4 hits, and 69 pitches. So that was a nice start for him. The Braves rotation, which is pretty decent. The Rays will actually see them starting on Monday. They have a 2-game set at home and then a 2-game set in Atlanta. So 4-game stretch, basically, for 4 games in 4 days against the Braves. So that's a team that the Rays and their fans will soon be familiar with. Ronald Acuna went 1 for 4 in the leadoff spot. Ozzie Albies 0 for 4. Freddie Freeman 0 for 2 with a couple walks. So the top of the lineup did not do exactly what they were expecting. Of course, getting shut out. But a good Mets bullpen. Their starting rotation, as we talked about a couple nights ago, are in shambles. No Noah Syndergaard, no Marcus Stroman with that calf tear, at least for now. So it's going to be Steven Matz tomorrow and Rick Porcello the day after that. And then they have Michael Wacha, and who knows, as a 5th starter, the Mets have been hell-bent on not bringing Seth Lugo up to the starting rotation. You see why. Went 2 innings out of the pen efficiently, picked up the win. That he's best in the bullpen, and the Mets are committed to keeping him there. The question is just who is going to be their 5th starter. Certainly helps picking up a win when you have Jacob deGrom on the mound. Looking at another game. Actually, we're going to head to the sports 2020 sports update before we talk about some more MLB action. So don't go anywhere. Remember, you can call the show 352-639-0036. At WHBC Stream is the Twitter. The chat and Spreaker is open. We've already had someone ask us a question. We'd love to have more. And we will be right back. HBC. Couple games that are left in action. Top of the 9th inning, it is the Rangers 1-0 over the Rockies. In the 7th inning, it is the Twins 10, White Sox 5. Also in the 9th, it is the Cardinals 5-2 over the Pittsburgh Pirates. 6th inning, Astros 6, Mariners 2. Also in the 6th inning, it is the Diamondbacks and Padres still tied at 0. Dodgers and Giants, it is the Dodgers up 3-1 in the 4th. And in the 3rd inning, it is the Angels and Athletics still tied, no runs apiece. You can call the show. We'll give it to you one more time. 352-639-0036. We will be right back.
Hey, sports fans. William's currently in the can, but he'll be right back. We're currently on a commercial break, so don't touch that dial. Remember, you can call us at 352-639-0036 or drop us a line on Twitter at WHBC Stream to tell us what's on your mind. We want to talk sports. We want to get unruly. We want you to tell us what you think so we can argue. Anyway, When all that's said and done, please stay tuned for Williams' world-famous Around the XFL podcast and other projects that he's currently got in the works. Please visit WHBCstream.com, and thanks again for listening in.
Sports Radio 1019 FM. Sports Radio 66. Sports Radio
HBC. We are back on the William Haynes Show at 11:05, talking everything MLB Opening Day, Rays Opening Day specifically. Just another reminder, you can call the show 352-639-0036. At WHBC Stream is the Twitter, and the chat at Spreaker is open where you're listening to this. You can leave us a message on there. One thing I wanted to mention, Charlie Montoyo says that the Blue Jays will play some home games, as a road team, basically. So they're going to play, I guess they'll just bat in the bottom of the innings in the parks. So basically whatever team, so they'll play the Nationals and the Phillies after the Rays. So they'll basically play in those ballparks, but as the home team, to explain it that way, as they prepare the ballpark in Buffalo for Major League games. The lighting, for both for TV purposes and for hitters, they're concerned over the lighting. And then I guess they're going to try to maybe expand the clubhouses. That would be a little tough to do. The Rangers, who just closed out a 1-0 win over the Rockies as they get started in what will be a wild AL West. As I'm scooting around some of these games as we continue to talk baseball. A lot of games that went final, so we're going to continue to plow through those. The Cincinnati Reds 7-1 over the Tigers. The Tigers, who we expect to be the second worst team in the league, probably, in front of the Orioles. Sonny Gray got the win for the Reds. He went 6 innings pitched, gave up a run on 3 hits, struck out 9, walked 2, gave up a home run. So 90 pitches in total for him, and the bullpen getting it done. A couple of guys, 3 that pitched an inning apiece, and no earned runs. And then it was Matthew Boyd taking the loss in 5 innings pitched for the Tigers. Not a whole lot to say. The Reds lineup, Joey Votto went 2 for 4, including a home run. Eduardo Soares, who was in the home run chase last year, he was 0 for 3. Nicholas Castellanos 1 for 2. Mike Moustakas went 3 for 4, so that's good in the middle of the order for them. So the Reds off to a nice start. And what should also be a very interesting National League Central, of course, now with the expanded playoffs as well. The Reds, I would say, very likely to make the postseason. The next game we're going to talk about is the Cubs-Brewers. That was interesting. Probably a good game to watch if you're a fan of either team, and I know it was on ESPN as well. It is the Cubs 3-0 over the Brewers. Kyle Hendricks went complete game, 9 innings pitched, 3 hits, no walks, 9 strikeouts, 103 pitches. So still not crazy convinced. The manager, David Ross, who was a catcher on the 2016 World Series team. Crazy to see him as the manager now after the departed Joe Madden for the Angels. But the Cubs getting win in Wrigley on opening day. That's a nice sight. A team that I kind of ruled out a bit. But the Brewers taking the loss. It was Brandon Woodruff taking the loss for Milwaukee. Went 5 innings pitched. 2 earned runs on 4 hits. Nothing notable out of the bullpen. Eric Sogard 0 for 4. Christian Yelich 0 for 4. What am I saying? Yeah, the only guy that got a hit was the shortstop batting ninth, Arcia, who was 3 for 3, so that's a bit strange. Honestly, I gotta say, that's not a bad lineup for the Brewers. Of course, didn't play well today, but they got Sogard leading off, Yelich behind him, Justin Smoke batting cleanup, Ryan Braun DHing, Avisail Garcia. I mean, that's a lineup you'd think that could hit. For the Cubs, Chris Bryant led it off 0 for 4. Anthony Rizzo went 1 for 2. Javi Baez 0 for 4. I don't want to just completely go through. Not a lot of offense in this game, of course. But the Cubs getting a win in Wrigley. On opening day, other games to talk about. So the Rangers and Rockies just went final. We'll talk them next. And then after that, it's all games that are currently live. So the Rangers 1-0. Lance Lynn, no decision for him, but he was the starting pitcher. Or maybe he must be the winning. They haven't put it in yet on ESPN. But Lance Lynn, 6 innings pitched, only gave up 2 hits, walked 4 though, struck out 9, 108 pitches, so that's surprising. Leclerc out of the bullpen, he's their closer, picking up the save. Herman Marquez on the mound for the Rockies, went 5 2/3. Gave up that earned run, so he'll take the loss. Estevez and Diaz out of the pen for Colorado. And looking at the lineups, we'll start with Colorado first. David Dahl going 3 for 4, so that's nice for him. And then after that, a whole lot of nothing. 0 for 4 out of Charlie Blackmon, 0 for 3 from Arenado, and much of the same throughout. Obviously, they're getting shut out. They only gave up, 3 hits for both teams. So obviously not much for the Rangers either. Trying to see who did the damage. Santana picked up a hit. Rougned Odor picked up a hit. And one other guy, Kenier Felifa, picked up a hit as well. So the Rangers picking up a 1-0 win. And so that's an American League East that will, I'm sure, prove to be very interesting. And then, so another game that looks like it just went final as it turns over to the bottom of the ninth. It looks like the Cardinals edge out a 5-4 win over the Pirates. And then some other games in action. It is the Mariners and Astros. Astros are running away. They're up 7-2 now. It was tied 2-2. It's like they were stealing signs or something. They knew a pitch was coming. Diamondbacks and Padres. The Padres have now put up 3 runs, so they're up 3-0. I guess we can take a peek at these box scores as they are live. Dodgers up on the Giants 3-1, and the Angels and Athletics are are still tied at 0. I'm going to put the Padres game on, and we can talk about that. Another reminder, I won't let you forget. You can call the show 352-639-0036 at WHBC Stream is the Twitter. The speaker chat is open. We're going to take a quick little break, and we'll be back in no time.
Hey, sports fans! William's currently in the can, but he'll be right back. We're currently on a commercial break, so don't touch that dial. Remember, you can call us at 352-639-0036 or drop us a line on Twitter at WHBC Stream to tell us what's on your mind. We want to talk sports. We want to get unruly. We want you to tell us what you think so we can argue. Anyway, when all that's said and done, please stay tuned for Williams' world-famous Around the XFL podcast and other projects that he's currently got in the works. Please visit WHBCstream.com, and thanks again for listening in.
Sports Radio 101.9 FM. Sports Radio 66. Sports Radio
HBC. And we are back on the William Haynes Show. It is 11:14 p.m. here Eastern Time, talking Rays baseball, opening day baseball. The Rays took a 6-4 loss at the hands of the Toronto Blue Jays. They left 11 men on base. Charlie Morton getting lit up for 6 runs in 4 innings pitched. You can talk about all that at 352-639-0036. The Twitter is wide open at WHBC Stream, and the chat on Spreaker, as always. If you want to plug in your thoughts, we've gone over all the games that have gone final already. And another game we'll talk about, it's mostly through. It's in the 7th inning. The Padres up 3-0 on the Diamondbacks. That game was tied for the longest time, but the Padres put up a 3 spot. I guess in the 6th, their starter, Chris Paddock, 6 innings pitched, 4 hits, gave up a walk, struck out 4, 81 pitches for him. His day is done. They put in Emilio Pagan, former Rays pitcher and closer last year. The Rays traded him to San Diego in exchange for Manuel Margot, who actually had a decent game tonight. And on the Diamondback side of things, it is Madison Bumgarner getting the start. His day is done. 5 2/3 innings pitched, 3 earned runs on 4 hits, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts, right at 100 pitches. So the Diamondbacks ace, he's in line for the loss if the offense can't get things going. The Diamondbacks lineup: Ketel Marte is 1 for 3. Starling Marte is 0 for 3. No one else of note. And the Padres lineup, wow, they have Fernando Tatis leading off. Wow, that lineup is actually really good. So they have Fernando Tatis leading off. Batting second, it's Manny Machado. Batting third, Tommy Pham, who's 0 for 2 but has scored a run. Batting cleanup, the former top prospect Jurickson Profar. Batting 6th, Eric Hosmer. Batting 7th, Will Myers. And then some guys at the bottom of the lineup who I'm not familiar with. But that's honestly a good-looking lineup. And a team in San Diego, I think now, especially with expanded playoffs, are a major player. In the National League West, I mean, that second spot is wide open. I think the 2 teams playing right now are the ones playing for that spot. Because the bottom 2 teams, the Rockies and the Giants, I don't think have much of a chance really to do anything. So I now, in expanded playoffs, one of these 2 teams here, the Diamondbacks and the Padres, are going to make the playoffs. So I think not whoever wins tonight, but maybe whoever wins this opening series could really get themselves a nice head start. It is really weird seeing Emilio Pagan pitch in the mustard and brown as the Padres finally have gone back to their old uniforms. They kicked the blue nonsense to the curb and gone back to the throwback brown and yellow. I think that's a really interesting color scheme. Not to get into too much uniform talk. So that's a game that we'll keep our eyes on. I'm not sure how much longer I'm going to go through the show. I pretty much plowed through everything that I wanted to talk about. Got caught up on some Major League Baseball. A game that just went final. Cardinals and Pirates, closer than you would expect. It was the Cardinals getting a 5-4 win. So we'll go through the box score on that. Remember, I'll keep telling you, you can call the show 352-639-0036. The line is open. Twitter at WHBC Stream. We've already had some people come through. We appreciate everyone coming in with their thoughts. And then we'll probably go, hard to say, we're going to do a 2020 sports update just so I can get another break in here in a couple of minutes. And maybe go for another 20 minutes after that, hard to tell. We'll talk maybe some more Rays and expanded playoffs and maybe adjust some of my predicted standings. I'm going to stand by my over-under win totals. But other than that, I think I can change some stuff. There's going to be a lot of different playoff teams. We're actually going to hop into the 2020 sports update now. So get you updated on all the active scores and take a little break in the process. Here it is. HBC. Only a couple of games left currently in action. This one out of hand late in the top of the 8th. It is the Twins 10-5 over the White Sox. In the 7th inning, the Astros 7, Mariners 2. Also in the 7th inning, the Padres 3-0 over the Diamondbacks. 5th inning, Dodgers have added on to their lead. They are now up 4-1 over the Giants. And in the final game, in the top of the 4th inning, Angels Athletics, no runs apiece. We're going to take a quick break, and we will be back in no time.
Hey sports fans, William's currently in the can, but he'll be right back. We're currently on a commercial break, so don't touch that dial. Remember, you can call us at 352-639-0036 or drop us a line on Twitter at WHBC Stream to tell us what's on your mind. We want to talk sports. We want to get unruly. We want you to tell us what you think so we can argue. Anyway, when all that's said and done, please stay tuned for William's world-famous Around the XFL podcast and other projects that he's currently got in the works. Please visit WHBCstream.com, and thanks again for listening in.
Sports Radio 101.9 FM. Sports Radio 66. Sports Radio
HBC. And we are back on the William Haynes Show. It is 11:21 as we approach the wee hours of the night here on this William Haynes Show. You can call the show 352-639-0036. WHBC Stream is the Twitter. We've already had a couple of thoughts coming in, so we appreciate all of that, of course. A question that we got from, once again, from at SWW4TB. He says, I know it's really early, but any possible targets to look at for free agency next year? So, of course, in the break, we had to pull up the list of impending free agents. And, of course, at the top of the list on MLB.com is Mookie Betts, who just signed that extension. So, of course, he's out of the race. The Dodgers traded for him as he was on the last year of his deal, hoping to bang out a deal, and they did it before he even officially played a game in Dodger Blue. So he'll be there, getting just about $390 million with the $22 million, I believe, that he was scheduled to make this year. Of course, that'll be prorated, but officially just under $400 million over the next 13 years. Mookie Betts will make in Los Angeles. Number 2 on the list, the catcher for the Phillies, JT Realmuto, his age 30 season is this year. The article says that they're going to make every attempt to extend him prior to opening day, but as far as I know, they have not done so yet. On a regular season, and a 162-game season, possibly a candidate to be traded at the deadline if they could not have worked out that extension. They're already owed a lot of money to Bryce Harper, of course. They signed Didi Gregorius to a deal, Zach Wheeler to a deal. They have money due to a lot of different people. I'm not sure how much they can pay for a guy in Real Muto that is widely considered the best catcher in baseball. Offensively, defensively, he's very balanced in that regard. Age 30 season, that might hurt his value a little bit. Not sure how much longer those knees are going to hold up. Of course, I mean, I'm sure he's probably got 5 seasons left in him that are decent. They noted Yasmani Grandal's 4-year, $73 million deal that he got with the White Sox coming over from the Brewers. So a catcher like Real Muto that can hit definitely have value. A lesser extent, a guy in Travis d'Arnaud that picked up, I believe, $12 million from the Braves. He's actually not playing right now. He's dealing with COVID symptoms, has not tested positive yet, but has not played in a game just yet. Former Ray just about carried them to the playoffs last year. Next on the list, the shortstop for the Athletics, also in its age 30 season, Marcus Semien, a guy that played all 162 games last year. Incredibly valuable to what they're doing over there. Plays a really good shortstop. Hits at the top of their lineup. Obviously, the A's do not want to pay out a lot of money to a lot of people. I think they have Matt Chapman they're going to have to pay soon. They have guys like Matt Olson. Of course, they let Jurickson Profar, I believe, walk, or maybe they traded him to the Padres. I'm not sure. I don't see, especially a guy that's 30 years old, that does not seem very Billy Bean and Oakland Athletics like to pay out money to an aging superstar. So I think they'll probably let him walk. What teams he'll go to, hard to say. The 2021-22 free agent class is going to include Francisco Lindor, Carlos Correa, Javier Baez, Corey Seager, and Trevor Story. So I think any team that's in the market for a shortstop, I would wait for that class. Marcus Semien, that might increase his value if he's the only shortstop, a team that needs one. Hard to tell what team that's really in dire need of a shortstop. Hard to say. Next on the list, Trevor Bauer. His age 30 season as well for the Cincinnati Reds. Of course, came over to Cincinnati in that midseason trade from the Cleveland Indians. Pitched okay, if I'm not mistaken, throughout the season. Couldn't carry him to the playoffs, but I guess their intent was to try and get a deal with them unless it was just a 1.5 year rental. What's hard with these guys, it's hard to predict where they would go. Really, any team that's in the market for a starting pitcher, there is a ton of those. How much he'll cost at age 30, hard to say. I would be inclined to wait and see how he pitches this year. That will probably determine quite a bit of his value. An outspoken guy, a fan favorite, I'm not sure. I know he's widely talked about and he's always got his name in the headlines. As we move further down the list, it is George Springer, the outfielder for the Houston Astros, his age 31 season this year. As he continues to get older and his recent injury history, hard to say. His career slash is 270, 361, 488. So 270 average is not bad. A guy, I'm not going to say past his prime, but kind of getting there. I don't know if he's got a stain on him from the Astros scandal. I'm not sure if the Astros are going to want to pony up to extend a guy like that. I would imagine probably not, as it looks like they're kind of headed toward a rebuild. Not sure. I mean, they're in that window where it's kind of win now, but it's closing. That's why they picked up the manager that they did. I know I'm drawing a blank on his name. I'll pull it up in a second. I can't believe that I can't think of it. Dusty Baker, that's it. I didn't even have to look it up. I just thought of it. Dusty Baker. They bring him in a manager, a guy that's in his 70s. Of course, you don't bring him in to get through a rebuild. You bring him in because you want to win now. They still got Verlander, but he's getting older. Picking up a win probably against the Mariners tonight. Then you have Zankriki behind him. They have some other guys in that starting rotation that aren't bad. Lance McCullers Jr. Hard to say. I know there's a lot of market for outfielders like that can hit, but he is a little bit older. So hard to say in that regard. Next on the list, Marcus Stroman. He's in his age 29 season with the New York Mets. Of course, we're not going to see him at least for the start of this season because of the calf tear. But a guy that the Mets acquired with hopes of re-signing him. I mean, it was a win-now move in the deadline of last year. They did not get to the postseason, but definitely a guy that could have helped them this year if he had stayed healthy. He would have been the number 2 starter after Noah Syndergaard went down. So I think the Mets are definitely going to try and extend him, especially if the Wilpons sell the team to a guy like Steve Cohen, who's got more money to deal out to free agents and re-signing. It's way down the line, but guys like Pete Alonso, Jeff McNeil, they're going to be getting a decent payday. Pete Alonso especially nowhere near. He's going to have a lot of arbitration years and things like that. But a guy down the road, you can't put out too much money. And of course, Jacob deGrom they have on a deal. Guys like that. But I think definitely Stroman, a guy who can be a big piece of their rotation. I think they're going to try and keep him in the building there in Flushing. Next on the list, Marcelo Zuna. He signed a 1-year deal with Atlanta. Hard to say. They say he turned down a 3-year offer from the Reds. So this 1-year deal, he's really betting on himself. Just like with George Springer, I think it's in whoever's in the market for corner outfields, whoever wants to pony up. Off the top of my head, a team that would need it. I mean, there's whatever team has enough money to deal out. Like a team like the Rays will never be in the market for an aging outfielder that wants $18 million a year. He played for the Cardinals last year. He's with the Braves this season. As we move down the list, we'll probably do the top 10. Yeah, because it doesn't like there's a whole lot of notable players after that. So, DJ LeMahieu, the infielder for the New York Yankees, his age 32 season. He's on the second year of a 2-year, $24 million deal. He's obviously going to get a lot more than that. He'll be in his early 30s. I would imagine the Yankees would try and re-sign him. He was such a big piece of what they did last season. I mean, with all the injuries, he was a machine. That's what they call him, the machine. I mean, he could play second base. I think he even played some first base. DH, but I mean, great average hitter. If I had to say, he'll be in the Bronx at least for another 3, maybe 4 seasons. Maybe he'll finish his career in pinstripes, but definitely imagine him as a guy who they would want to keep in the building. Of course, they can afford it. Last couple guys here. Mike Minor for the Texas Rangers, his age 33 season this year. He missed the 2015 year with both the 2015 and 16 season with shoulder issues. Last year, he was on the Cy Young ballot. So, I mean, a guy who's kind of having a late career renaissance. A Rangers team that, I mean, I guess their window would be considered opening up. They do have kind of it's weird, like Corey Kluber, Lance Lynn, Mike Minor, that starting rotation. But some young guys. Hard to say. A guy like that's age 33, if the Rangers can keep him maybe another 1-2 year deal, they would do that. But otherwise, I think he's going to walk for whatever team wants to pony up a little cash for a starting pitcher. And then another starting pitcher, a guy for the Minnesota Twins, his age 31 season, Jake Odorizzi. He went down with an injury. I believe that was announced like today. A career year in 2019, of course, a former Ray. Last year, 3.51 ERA in 30 starts. He bet on himself this year, took an $18 million qualifying offer. So that injury definitely hurt that. And of course, that $18 million, he's not going to see all of that with the prorated salary. He's going to see, about a third of that. So the Twins, if he's healthy, and of course they're going to know more than any other team because he's in their building with their doctors. If he can come back from that injury, especially this year, if he comes back and pitches well, definitely the Twins are going to want to keep him in that building, at least short term. He's in his early 30s. That they have one of the best lineups in the American League, if not the entire Major League Baseball. The pitching which was the thing that hurt him last year against the Yankees in the postseason. I think that could be their undoing this year as well. I think they're the favorites to win the division, but of course, with the expanded playoffs, that does not mean much. Best case, they'll be hosting a 3-game wildcard series, as we'll talk about that before we close up the show. I would definitely say the Twins would probably try and keep them around as they are in a win-now mode. We got another question coming in on Twitter. He said, it's the same guy. Let me make sure I get the handle right. It is at SWW4TB on Twitter. He says, do you think lack of fans cost us any part in the game tonight? I would be inclined to say no, but now that I'm pondering some thought on it, I would say, every bit counts. I thought the fake fan noise was better than in some of the other games that I heard. I know the Rays have some of the best sound staff in all the league. I know their in-game stadium operators are really good at what they do. I thought the guy running it, I heard on the radio that they have a specific person that's dedicated to running the board. So I thought the fake crowd noise was good. The players say they prefer it that way. Of course it's better. And you already know, on opening day, if this was March 26th of this year against the Pirates, Charlie Morton on the mound, traditional opening day, you better believe that they would have packed 25,000 fans in that building after going to the playoffs and putting in 35,000 against the Astros in that ALDS. That would have given the team energy. I think they certainly, undoubtedly, I would point to, they were missing some energy tonight. A guy like Kevin Kiermaier going 0 for 4, a guy that kind of feeds off the crowd, and he's even admitted that himself. Charlie Morton, I would think, I don't want to get too conspiracy here. I'm not in their head. I don't know kind of what's going through. But Charlie Morton, a guy who had said he was a little disappointed. He was so grateful for the first opening day start of his career, but it's something that he's been looking forward to. He was expecting in traditional a season that, his family that had been watching him his whole career were going to be there to support him. And, of course, playing in front of the fans is really what he wanted to do. He gave up 6 earned runs and 4 innings pitched. People shouting and hollering, ringing the cowbells, waving the towels. Every little bit could have counted. Bases loaded, 2 outs. Hunter Renfroe. If the crowd's going nuts, maybe he swings at that pitch at 2 strikes instead of watching it go by for strike 3 in a pitch that, would have, if a base hit would have tied that game. And I don't want to get, like I said, I don't want to make any conspiracy theories or anything like that, but if the crowd is going nuts, that's players feed off that. A good Hunter Renfroe hack at that pitch could have resulted in a completely different ball game. So I think that's a really good question. And to answer your question, I'm going to go yes. I think that the lack of fans did cost the Rays potentially just a little bit. Every little bit counts, especially in a 2-run game like they played tonight when the Rays had so many chances, 11 men left on base. You got to know that Kevin Cash and the Rays are not happy about the performance last night. On the screen, on the monitor that I have, the Padres, Tommy Pham just knocked in a run for San Diego. They're up now 4-1 on the D-backs. So it is really weird seeing Tommy Pham and that mustard and brown. And certainly, if you would ask Rays fans, they would certainly rather have Tommy Pham taking those at-bats than Hunter Renfroe, to say the least. As it looks like the Padres are probably going to come out on the winning end of this game and cement themselves as the number 2 team in the National League West. So we've talked games that we have final, we talked Rays, we talked free agents for next year. Got some good questions on Twitter. We appreciate that. Going to give you another reminder. We got a line open, 352-639-0036, WHBC Stream is the Twitter. The chat on Spreaker.com is open as well. It looks like one other game, soon to be two games that went final that we have not talked about. Cardinals 5, Pirates 4. A crummy Pirates team that we did not expect to do much this year in Busch Stadium. The Cardinals just edging it out. Jack Flaherty, the ace, one of the best pitchers in baseball, at least out to the second half of last season. Wow, went 7 innings pitched, gave up 2 earned runs on 6 hits. Oh, it didn't walk anybody, struck out 6, and 89 pitches. Wow. So he could have, this guy probably could have gone complete game. The bullpen gave up another run. So I guess the Pirates must have had a run that was unearned. It was Kim for the Cardinals getting the save. I'm not familiar with that closer. I know Jordan Hicks opted out of the season. I think he wouldn't have started the year anyway with an elbow issue, I want to say, or a shoulder. Jordan Musgrove taking the loss for Pittsburgh, went 5 2/3, gave up 3 runs on 5 hits. 7 strikeouts, gave up 2 home runs, 99 pitches. And yeah, it was the closer, Kim, for the Cardinals that did give up an unearned run. So the Cardinals closed it out just barely. If the closer gives up 2 runs and they win 5-4, that must have been an exciting game. Good sight for the Cardinals. Their ace, 7 innings pitched, less than 90 pitches. When he's stretched out fully, he's going to do some damage. Really nothing of note out of the Pirates lineup. Josh Bell going 1 for 4. Then as we look, I want to see the home runs for the Cardinals. It was Fowler getting 1 off of Musgrove, and O'Neill picking up 1 as well. So Colton Wong goes 2 for 4. Paul Goldschmidt goes 2 for 3. That's about it. Yadier Molina, in what could be his last season as a Cardinal, going 1 for 4. So they get the win on opening day. I had them picked to win the National League Central. So that'll be an interesting division, no doubt. As we continue, it looks like a couple other games have gone final. Really just the games on the West Coast are the only that are still going on, and even those are in the late stages of things. Looks like the Padres, they got 2 men in scoring position with the cleanup hitter Profar in a 2-2 count. Let's see. Top of the 9th inning, Twins 10-5 over the White Sox. We can probably just knock that one out right now. So for the White Sox, it was Lucas Giolito. Oh, wow, they used a lot of pitchers. Giolito went 3 2/3, gave up 7 earned runs on 6 hits. Wow, 2 home runs. Let's see, who were they? For the Twins, got a team that set the major league record for home runs in a season. They've already got a bunch of them. Okay, so it looks like they do. Max Kepler hit 2 home runs. Okay, so that's who did it. The White Sox, let me get this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 8 pitchers used for the White Sox. So they're already burning up their bullpen. A team that I said a couple nights ago were probably a year away on their rebuild. Looks like, they're down to their final out, down 5 runs. For the Twins, it was Barrios getting the start. 4 innings pitched, gave up 5 runs and 7 hits, 75 pitches. And then used a slew of relievers. When you look at hitters for the Twins, Max Kepler leading off 2 for 5, 2 runs batted in. Josh Donaldson going 0 for 3. Polanco 2 for 5. Nelson Cruz 2 for 4. Nothing else really of note for the White Sox. Leading off, Tim Anderson went 2 for 4 with a couple of runs. Yoan Moncada going 3 for 4. Jose Abreu 0 for 4. The new catcher Grandel 0 for 3. Edwin Encarnacion 0 for 4. The prospect Robert 2 for 4. So a lineup of new and old players. Looks like the new outplayed the old here tonight as some of their new additions Yasmani Grandal and Edwin Encarnacion combined to go 0 for 7 for Chicago, as it looks like that's going to do it for that game. The Twins coming out on top. It looks like go ahead and tuck Astros and Mariners, as that game is now 8-2. I guess I really jinxed the Mariners. The Mariners were up 2-1 when I put the game on the monitor right before starting the show, and we are hour and 15 minutes into the program. So I guess didn't get out of hand quickly, but slowly over time. Verlander getting the start for the Stros. He goes 6 innings pitched, giving up 2 runs on 3 hits, 73 pitches. So kind of the old stir, trying to ease him into the season. And Gonzalez for the Mariners, the starter, 4 1/3 innings pitched, 3 earned runs on 5 hits, a walk, 2 strikeouts. So 2 runs, really not much going offensively for them. For the Astros, they've got to have a lot. Not really anybody having a great game. Brantley's 2 for 3, and pretty much just everyone has a hit. So I'm sure it was just an inning where they just tacked on the runs like nobody's business, as Eric Hosmer knocked in a couple more runs for San Diego. So when it rains, it pours, even in Southern California, as Jurickson Profar comes in a score. That game is now 7-1. So San Diego with a statement here on opening day. A bases clearing double for Eric Hosmer, and it's all high fives in the dugout for them. So we talked Astros and Mariners. Just a couple games it looks like left. We'll talk Diamondbacks, Padres, the box score. Let's see. The starter, we did talk about them already. Yeah, Paddock and Bumgarner and all that. So Dodgers and Giants, and then we'll talk Angels and Athletics before wrapping the show up with some expanded postseason and maybe the next couple of Rays, Blue Jays games. Got a couple more. It was officially announced that Blake Snell will be the starter on Sunday's game. I thought that was already official, but I guess not. So for the Dodgers, it was Stripling, who looks like he's still in the game. So that's a little bit strange. Ross Stripling. That's strange. They didn't go with Walker Buehler yet either. So I don't understand why they didn't. That's strange, because Clayton Kershaw wasn't ready to go on opening day, so they put in Dustin May, who looked all right. And then tonight going with Stripling, 6 2/3 innings pitched, 1 earned run on 4 hits, no walks, 7 strikeouts, 92 pitches thrown. Looking at the lineup, Betts leading off 0 for 4. Max Muncy is 3 for 3, 3 runs, 2 runs batted in. Justin Turner's 2 for 3. Cody Bellinger 0 for 3, and then Corey Seager 3 for 3. That's about it worth of note. And then for the Giants, Flores 2 for 3, but that's about it. As they only have 1 run in the middle of the 7th. Anderson, the starter, only went 1 2/3, so 38 pitches, or 38 pitches, I should say. 2 earned runs off of 3 hits, so looks like maybe pitching by committee there for the Giants, but they're looking like they're going to get clobbered for the second straight night. We predicted that they were not going to be a very good ball team, and 2 games in, it looks like that holds up. And final game to talk about, it's going on ESPN. It is the nightcap as we are approaching the 12 o'clock hour. We'll probably try and get out at 12 o'clock if we can. Decent little program here. We're getting about an hour and a half in. Bottom of the 5th inning, tied at 1. Frankie Montas was the starter. He's done. 4 innings pitched, an earned run on 3 hits, 81 pitches thrown. And then Heaney going for the Angels, 4 innings pitched. That's 1 run on 2 hits, 62 pitches thrown. Looking at the offense, Fletcher leading off for the Angels, with Trout behind him, then Ohtani, then Upton. Pujols is batting 6th. So that's an interesting lineup, having Simmons bat at the 8th spot. So Trout is 1 for 2, Ohtani 1 for 3. That's about all worth note. And then for the A's, Simeon leading off, Laureano, Chapman, Chris Davis, Matt Olson. That's a hard lineup to face, certainly. Laureano's 1 for 2, Olson 1 for 2, but that's it for them. So that'll be a good game if you got that on your TV. But that's about it to talk about from that perspective. Pretty much all the games are final or about decided in hand. The only game worth watching at this point would be Angels and Athletics in an American League West, potentially second place battle. Final thing I wanted to talk about. Actually, let's catch a short break and then we'll come back for the about final 10 minutes or so of the program. You can call the show 352-639-0036. We've got a line open. At WHBC Stream is the Twitter, and the chat on Spreaker is open on always. As always, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Hey, sports fans! William's currently in the can, but he'll be right back. We're currently on a commercial break, so don't touch that dial. Remember, you can call us at 352-639-0036 or drop us a line on Twitter at WHBC Stream to tell us what's on your mind. We want to talk sports. We want to get unruly. We want you to tell us what you think so we can argue. Anyway, when all that's said and done, please stay tuned for William's world-famous Around the XFL podcast and other projects that he's currently got in the works. Please visit WHBCstream.com, and thanks again for listening in.
Sports Radio 1019 FM. Sports Radio 66. Sports Radio
HBC. And at 11:50, we are back on the William Haynes Show. Final 10 minutes of the program. Thank you for everyone that stuck with us. I'm not sure how much compelling radio it is to read off box scores. Just kind of trying some things out with this William Haynes Show. Of course, operated by WHBC. That is my kind of podcast and radio network. Looking to branch off with some more podcasts, of course. This whole thing got started with some AAF and XFL podcasts, but trying to break off, maybe doing a Tampa Bay sports podcast, a New York sports podcast, because that interests me as well. And of course, as I will soon be a student at Florida State, maybe some Florida State sports on a podcast as well, and then maybe use this live radio show as a national sports podcast, because we like to talk everything sports. Final 10 minutes of the program. Remember, because I know you won't forget, you can call the show 352-639-0036. We've already had some nice people drop in some lines at WHBC Stream on Twitter, and the chat on Spreaker is open, as is the phone line. The last thing I wanted to do in this show was to go over the expanded playoffs and kind of alter my predictions off of that. So to get started, before I get ahead of myself, originally, well, let's start at the beginning. When the season that was supposed to start on March 26th did not get started, and MLB players took a break to wait and see what the virus was going to do. The owners and the Players Association and Rob Manfred, they were in discussions about kind of a return to play format. A lot of arguments over prorated salaries and this and that. COVID-19 concerns, health and safety protocol. But one thing that was discussed was an expanded playoff format. Basically in a short season, where each game now means 3 games in a regular season, 162-game season. So basically like the Rays who dropped a loss tonight, that's the equivalent of getting swept in a 162-game season. And I think that's why Rays fans are so upset that they went 0 for 11 or not 0 for 11, but 11 men left on base. And let me pull up the stat because I have it right here. 1 for 9 with runners in scoring position. Another reason to do that, postseason MLB baseball on TV makes a ton of money, and of course some of that revenue would be spread to the players as a way to offset said prorated salaries. Players can be making a lot less to put themselves at potential risk with injury concerns and all that, of course. Ultimately, they decided against it. I don't know exactly what into that reasoning. That would have been more money for the owners, more money for the players. Would have been more fair from a competitive standpoint. So if you have a bad week in a 60-game season, but you're the Yankees and you have a killer lineup, you still get in the postseason because you probably would have in a 162-game season. I'm just going to get this out of the way now, as I'm sure I could probably get into a rabbit hole now that I think about it. Talking about expanded postseason and what this all means, and how a lot of people think that this is going to get carried over because it means more revenue. The reason for the expanded playoffs from a competitive standpoint is this. In a 162-game season, you cannot fake it. And that weeds out all the bad teams. It separates the pretenders from the contenders, basically. You have to be a good team, a resilient team. You have to be able to battle through injuries, guys in slumps. There's a lot of stuff that happens from March through the end of September. It's a long season for a reason, and I think that's what makes baseball so great. With so few playoff spots in such a long season, you have to prove yourself day in and day out. And I think anyone that brings up that they would want to keep expanded playoffs in a 162-game season, I think is absolutely outrageous. It demeans the whole point of what we're doing here with a 162-game season. Remember, there was a time when there was a National League pennant winner and an American League pennant winner. It was just whoever had the best record in those both leagues played in the World Series, and that was it. And then, of course, it makes sense that, you can win your division, go to the postseason, and then, of course, the advent of the wild card was added in for an extra mix. And, of course, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that the wild card is bad for baseball. As a Rays fan, it's allowed us to make the postseason a couple more times than we would have otherwise, including last season, which would have been a bummer to not see the Rays do the damage they did in the playoffs. So I'm not going to tell you that's bad, but I think 5 playoff spots in both leagues is right in a 162-game season. And while I think that it still takes away the value of a 60-game season, I'm not going to bellyache over it because I know there's going to be a Dodgers or a Yankees or maybe to a lesser extent, even a Rays, for an example, a team that's, a really good team, but maybe a number 2 in their division, that's going to have a bad time and, might not have made the postseason in a 5 playoff team format. So I'm not going to sit here and bellyache about that. But I think it's outrageous to expect that this is going to continue into future seasons. The reason they're doing expanded playoffs is this. Recovers some revenue lost for players in prorated salaries. They're going to get about $50 million for the deals that was struck with ESPN and TBS. And it also allows teams that would have probably made the postseason to make it, as I'm now going to tell you how said postseason bracket is going to work, as we'll probably run a few minutes over the midnight mark heading into Saturday morning. But basically what would happen, the previous playoff format, in each league, 3 divisions, each 3 division winners make the playoffs, and then the remaining 2 best teams with the best record would make a wild card. Now, under the new expanded playoffs, it's adding 3 extra playoff teams in each league, and in each league, both the 3 division winners and the 3 second-place division teams will make the postseason, and then another 2 wildcard spots. So there's going to be either 2 third-place teams or a third and a fourth-place team, but I don't think that's likely. So probably going to see the first-place teams, the second-place teams, and a couple of third-place teams. So a lot of mediocre 500-ball teams, but I think it opens things up for a team like the New York Mets, who edged out a win today. Even with injuries, I think you go 500 in the NL East, you make the playoffs, plain and simple. because I think they can get at least that second spot, if not win the whole dang division. After how they shut down the Braves today, I think it's one game. Not going to get ahead of myself, but I think they put some of the concerns with the bullpen to rest. Lugo and Diaz, as well as Justin Wilson, looked pretty good. Opens up, as I'm looking, it completely opens up both of the Central divisions, both American and National League. As I look, the Cardinals I predicted to win, but it's neck and neck with the Reds and the Cubs. The Brewers are in the mix too. I mean, outside of the Pirates, those are 4 teams that can battle for those 2 spots. I don't think the wild card is going to come out of the National League Central. And then you look at the American League Central, the Twins, I think, are a pretty good chance to win it. But then this really opens it back up for the Indians, a team that was, I don't think, going to win this division, but I think second place is reasonable. And in this year, that's going to give you a postseason spot guaranteed. And I think the White Sox can contend for that spot as well. So that's a 3-team race between the Twins, the Indians, and the White Sox. Before I continue, let me tell you how that's going to work as well, as I know that's a little confusing. A lot more playoff teams. So if you're familiar with the NBA, I think the NHL is similar, but I'll go with the NBA because I know it's that way for sure. So 8 playoff teams in each league. They're going to seed them 1 through 8 in terms of best record. I'm not sure how the tiebreakers are going to come into play, but it's going to be simple. 1 versus 8, 2 versus 7, 3 versus 6, and 4 versus 5. And it is going to be a 3-game wildcard series, and all 3 games will be at the high seed. So let's say it's the 1 seed in the American League is the Yankees, and the 8 seed, let me just take a flyer on somebody. Let's say it's the Angels. The Angels will go to the Bronx for a 3-game set. Whoever comes out with 2 wins advances to the next round. So they do it that way. And then after that, so 8 teams will go down to 4 as Mickey Callaway is trotting out the field as the pitching coach for the Angels. How the mighty have fallen. And then after that, after you narrow it down to 4 teams, it's just like it was before. You got the 2 American League Division Series. The winners of those will play in the American League Championship Series, and then that will determine the pennant winner that they will send to the World Series. So I think they figured out a way that works well. I like that they did it where the first and second place teams make it, and then the wild card, so it's not screwy. There was talks that they were going to let like the 1 seed pick who they wanted to play. I think that's ridiculous. Might work for a basketball that's trying to be innovative and fun and, to be frank, cute. Baseball, I'm a baseball traditionalist. I'm glad that they were spared from the shenanigans of something like that, where like a selection show like they had talked about before. I think that's ridiculous for a sport like baseball that's so rich in history and 162 game season, and only a sport where playoff spots are hard to come by really weeds out the great teams. And it's more satisfying when your team makes the postseason. When the Rays won the division in 2008, that was really exciting because they had never done it before, and they won it over the Red Sox and the Yankees. And I think, if the first and second and third place teams were making the playoffs, it's just not as valuable, I don't think, to fans or to franchises, however you want to look at it. Extra ad revenue, fine. Whatever. More teams making the playoffs is more engaging for fans. I get it from that perspective, but I don't think it is very baseball. As I'm going to go ahead and cut the show off here. I know if I don't cut myself off, I'll keep talking. I wanted to thank everyone who dropped lines into the show. I was putting it out on the Rays Discord, Rays Reddit, things like that, just trying to gain a little bit of an audience. If you're listening to this and you enjoy the show, we're on weekdays on schedule now, probably going to go like from 9 to 10, 9 to 11, or after Rays games, however it shakes out. So share with some friends if you're interested. We're going to keep banging these shows out. No shows on Saturday or Sunday. It's Yarbrough Shoemaker tomorrow, and then Snell on Sunday. So go Rays. We'll talk to you Monday night, and we'll see you then.
Sports Radio 101.9 FM and Sports Radio 66. The Fan.
HBC.
W